Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Art of Living Well podcast. We are so happy that you are here with us today. And today we're going to be wrapping up our three-part series on the GLP Class 1 drugs. And we have Mandy Baker with us here today, and she is a registered nurse. And if you're interested in listening to part 1 and part 2, which we strongly encourage, go back and check it out. And so today we're here with Mandy. And Mandy, before we get started, we would love to know that if you had unlimited funds, how would you spend your day to day?
Oh my goodness. Well, that's on the spot. I, what I would do today wouldn't even take money, like a ton of money. I would drive up to the mountains about 45 minutes away and spend the day alone reading and just enjoying nature and having peace. That is
So
what I could do.
Yes. I'll be right there with you. Okay. Oh, well, thank you. So Mandy's on our show today because you've been on one of these GLP-1 class drugs, and we're looking to give like lots of perspectives on this. For those of you who have already listened to part 1 and part 2, many of our listeners are somewhat familiar if you've listened to previous episodes of us or others about these drugs, or maybe you know someone that has taken one. But we'd love for you to share your journey about how you started taking the GLP-1 class drug that you did and how you were introduced to the drug, maybe a little bit of background, and then we'll go from there.
Great. Yes. So about a year and a half ago, I was meeting with a PA that I'd been working with, a physician's assistant, with hormones. I'm in menopause, just crossed the threshold into menopause. I'm 51. And he was helping me with some hormones. And at the end of the appointment, just kind of out of the blue, he asked me, how do you feel about your weight? And I'm 5'4". I'm in the 160s. I was probably close to 168 at the time. And of course, I want to lose weight. I've always wanted to lose weight. That's always been, my whole adult life. Oh, I need to be thinner. And so I'm like, well, sure, I'd like to lose a few pounds. And he says, let me tell you about this drug. And he said, I've actually been taking it for 10 days and I've lost 7 pounds. He said I had to stop taking it because he's so thin, he didn't need to lose weight. He said, this is a game changer. And I was like, oh my goodness, easy. It was right around the Christmas holiday. And I just thought, this is, yes, of course. And my first question was, okay, well, what are the side effects? I come from the fen-phen, history. When I was in my mid-20s, I did the fen-phen, that whole scare. My heart is fine, thank goodness. But, I was a little, what are the side effects? And he said, few people have some nausea. I can give you something if you, need some help, but really nothing was basically what I got from him. So sure, sign me up. And I know the cost is prohibitive for a lot of people. And he mentioned, it's expensive, but I'm working with a pharmacist who's compounding it. It's semaglutide is what I took. And he said, I can get it to you for $200 a month, but you have to agree to 3 months. So it was $600 for a 3-month supply. Okay. I mean,
Wow.
I've done other programs before that, were $500 a month for the food, things like that. And so, okay, I'll try it. So I started it right around Christmas, and I took it for 6 weeks. I did the injections, and I got to you start off on a lower dose and then increase it. I don't remember if it was at 4 weeks you increase it. And I did that for 2 weeks. So if I remember right, I took it for 6 weeks and started having side effects that I noticed really within the first couple of weeks.
Can we back up for a second? So I have some questions, even just starting with your doctor saying to you, do you want to try this drug? It's off label. Had you heard of Ozempic and Wegovy and some of these other drugs at the time? Did you?
Yeah, I'd heard the name before, but I wasn't familiar with, how they were being used as weight loss.
Okay.
The Wegovy's more for weight loss, but I vaguely, but I wasn't educated at all.
So that light bulb didn't go off at that time.
As far as
That what he was offering you was like an off-label version of one of those.
oh, well, no, he told me it was the generic of Wegovy. He
Okay.
did, you know,
Okay.
did tell me that.
Okay. Because from what I understand, they're really like $1,000 a month,
Yeah,
right?
or more. I mean,
So that's just so interesting that he was working with a pharmacist. Like it almost sounds a little, I don't know, sounds
and
really,
I've heard more people who've had this similar who've taken it with a pharmacist who offers the discount. And I know,
interesting.
but right, but I was like, oh, I don't, okay, I trusted my doctor, and more than anything, I wanted to lose weight easily.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, he's calling it a game changer. Of course,
Who wouldn't want that, right?
Although I have to just back up a second. The fact that he asked you about your weight, I just find a little
well, and this
yeah.
is what's interesting to me though, is I've been working with him a year and a half, and when I first worked with him, like I met with him. He lives his office is about 2.5, 3 hours away. So my first visit with him was in person, and then subsequent visits were just over the phone. So I really hadn't met him in person many times. But the first time I met with him, I mean, I recall him actually complimenting, for your age, you look great. Never was there an issue with weight that he thought was concerning. And then a year and a half down the road, he's asking me about my weight. And I think, to defend him a bit, every woman, especially menopausal woman, is not every woman, but a lot of women are concerned about their weight at that stage in life. And he saw this probably as an opportunity, but it was probably an opportunity for him to make some money too. And, I have to wonder why all of a sudden now is my weight concerning to you. My weight hasn't changed in a year and a half. And now you're asking me about my weight. And so, it does sound a little suspect that it would come up now.
Yes. So you mentioned that after about 2 weeks, you were starting to have some side effects. Can you extrapolate on that?
And just to give a little medical background on me, I have a gallbladder that I've had gallstones for years, but it's never been infected. I haven't had it removed. I'd like to keep it if at all possible, and so I've tried to do things to try to, strengthen my gallbladder, but it's weak. I understand that that's an organ that tends to, like I say, get gallstones. And I also know that from an ultrasound that I had of my gallstone, I have a fatty liver that was noted in the ultrasound results. And so I know that my digestive system isn't perfect, that there are some weaknesses there. So I was attuned to that when I started taking that, and I started noticing, of course, it slows your digestion. That's how it works. And I just started feeling an ache occasionally around the area of my gallbladder and liver. And I didn't have nausea or any of the other gastrointestinal symptoms that some people have, but I just felt like things weren't right, that my body wasn't working like it should. And so that was concerning to me. And the other thing that I noticed is that it didn't help my brain not think about food. And I know that some people have said that. In fact, I just talked to a friend I saw a couple of weeks ago. I haven't seen for a few months. She's the same height and weight as me, and she looked amazing. And I said, "Oh my goodness, you look great." And I said, "What are you doing?" And she said, "Oh, semaglutide. I've cheated. I'm doing semaglutide." She's lost 45 pounds. And she said, "It's just stopped the chatter in my brain." And which I thought was interesting because I didn't experience that.
So it would be interesting to note if was she on like the compounded version that you were on she was.
Yeah. Her husband's actually a PA and was able to get it for her. I'm not sure, which pharmacy. It was probably a different pharmacy, but she had amazing results with it as far as that food chatter, the cravings. And maybe part of it was that I was starting at a time of year where food is Christmas, it's part of it. And that goes to show how much our brains are, it's so much of a brain problem as much as anything, if that makes sense. That the food addiction and that kind of thing is so powerful. Um, I I don't know. It was just interesting to me that I didn't experience that. I think I lost in the 6 weeks that I was on it. I lost 3 or 4 pounds. It
Wow.
wasn't
So aside from that ache that you felt, did you have any other effects? Negative, positive?
Well, I mean, again, constipation, because it's slowing down your digestion, and just this, and maybe it was my paranoia from having been on Fen-Phen that it was like, okay, what is this doing to my body? And just this overall feeling of, I don't know if this is the right thing for me. And so that was part of the reason why I stopped, was that I was having those effects in me with my gallbladder, and I felt like it was just slowing things down, but just this feeling like this isn't good. So
well, it sounds like you really were listening to your body and trusting your intuition, and not looking externally, whether it's your doctor or your friend or someone else, as to why you should stay on the drug or not. So commend you for that.
And I did explain that to my doctor when I told him, that it wasn't working for me. And he was really surprised. He was, it was really, he respected my choice, but it was a surprise to him that somebody would not have good success with it.
And did he explain to you going into it any side effects or any,
I just remember him saying that I might have some nausea. That's what I recall, that was the main thing. And if it was bad, but usually it resolved within a short time, and to just stick with it if I could just get past it initially. That's all I recall him saying. And then after I don't know if it was after I quit or while I was still taking it, I started reading things about, the concerns with the thyroid and other side effects that I thought, okay, I don't know if there's enough information about this, especially where I'm overweight. I'm not in an obese BMI. My BMI is considered overweight, but I don't have health problems because of my weight. Now, if you have somebody who's 300, 400 pounds, or, have really high numbers and have health issues because of their weight, this might be the right thing. But I'm a person who's, I'd like to lose 20 or 30 pounds, but I do everything I want to do physically. And I don't know, it gives me a little bit of concern that it's being so widely prescribed for people who may not necessarily need to lose the weight. The side effects I think are a greater risk than carrying a few extra pounds, but that is just my experience.
Well, and I think it depends how many extra pounds a person's carrying, right? Like if you're carrying 200 extra pounds.
Yes. I'm talking 20.
Yeah, right.
Which I think a lot of people
it's
being targeted.
Right. And that's why we're talking about this. Because
exactly. So you mentioned like constipation, for instance. What advice did your doctor give you, if you had any correspondence with him in that 6-week period?
I didn't correspond with him during that time. I tried some things. I have an herbal tea that is supposed to help with just regular digestion, and I took that during the course of the time. I really didn't communicate much with him while I was on that. I actually did go see a naturopathic doctor after I'd been on it I think I was still taking it. And I was just concerned again about how my gallbladder was feeling. And so I went to this doctor I'd been on it 6 weeks, and that's when I stopped taking it, actually, is he looked at it and he just said, you do not need this. He had a very direct talk with me and just said, you are fine. This is terrible for your body. And, he's coming from his perspective of taking care of the body a different way. And I just felt like that was the right course for me.
Yeah.
It sounds like you already knew that it wasn't good for you. You were having some side effects, and then he just affirmed and helped like solidify the decision that you already had all along.
Yes.
When you went on the drug and you initially, talked to your doctor about it, did he suggest any lifestyle changes? Did you make any lifestyle changes alongside using the drug? And did he discuss that with you at all, and about the longevity of the drug, or was it kind of insinuated that you would start this and you would just be on it indefinitely?
There was no talk about how long I would be on it.
Okay.
At that time, he didn't talk about lifestyle changes. He did, when I first met with him and started working, he was helping with my hormones. He did talk about, watch your sugars, just some basic information. I have been trying to follow an eating plan for the last 4 years, Bright Line Eating, where you eliminate sugar and flour from your diet and all processed foods. And so I was trying to incorporate that. I have knowledge of that and the eating plan, but I didn't get that from my doctor.
Okay.
So it wasn't like packaged as, let's take this drug to help boost, your goal and lose a little bit of weight while also making lifestyle changes. So from a sustainability standpoint, you don't have to be on the drug, because for most people it is $1,000 a month, and that's expensive. And you can kind of wean yourself off without gaining back the weight, which is often what happens.
No, in fact, when I was talking with my friend a couple of weeks ago, she said, I need it. She said, I can't, I'll go 10 days without it. And can I just have a little bit more? Because she notices the difference when she's not on it, that the chatter starts up again. And so I think she sees it as a lifetime of needing this. And that's not something I want to do. And maybe
Right.
necessary for some people. Maybe just like a diabetic needs insulin, maybe some people who need help in controlling their weight will need that for a lifetime. But I just feel like there's a better way for me.
Well, and it also comes down to your priorities, right? Like, how do you want to address this? Are you only focused on what you look like on the outside? Because that's, if you're the person that's looking to lose 5 to 20 pounds, you don't necessarily need it for health reasons, right? So is this something you want to commit to for life, or do you want to make these changes slowly and steadily and know that your insides are doing well alongside your outsides, if that makes sense?
Yes, and that's right, and that's how I feel. But I don't judge somebody too who wants to do it for the vanity of. I mean, that's your decision.
Yeah, of course,
if that's the priority for you, I don't judge that at all.
Pick your poison, right?
Exactly.
We all have our poisons.
Right.
Yeah.
And, there is something to be said about someone who's thin on the outside, whether you take Ozempic or one of these drugs or not, and who's at, term skinny fat. And someone could be thin going on the drug, but eating, we've talked about this in the other episodes that we launched on this topic, but eating just smaller portions of processed food or not eating a nutrient-dense diet. And then you lose nutrients, you may lose muscle mass, depending on what you're doing, and you're not necessarily healthy on the inside. You could still develop these long-term, chronic conditions just because you're a certain BMI and you look a certain way. I think that's just always something important to consider when making these types of decisions.
Yes, very true.
So really, you tuned into yourself. You didn't feel well in your gut almost, right? It was like you listened to your gut. This gut decision told you, this is not a drug I want to be on. and you stop taking the drug. So I think we would both applaud you for that, because
Absolutely.
not for stopping, but just for listening to you
Yeah.
and not following, maybe what this doctor said to you.
Yeah. And it's interesting because that's kind of the same experience I had when I was on fen back in the day. And I only took that a few weeks and I hated the side effects. And I stopped that, and I'm grateful I did, because I dodged the heart issues that was later found to be causing. And so I don't know if, down the road there are going to be side effects that come out with this. I don't know. Who knows? Because it's been such a recent thing that that we've been using these for mass weight loss, I want to say, So I don't know. I guess follow your gut. So
Yeah.
what's right for you.
So if there's someone out there listening who's considering taking one of these GLP-1 class drugs, what advice, in addition to following your gut, what advice would you have for someone who wanted to start either exploring it or start taking it?
Well, to educate yourself, first of all, on as much information as you can. I mean, there is plenty of information. I know Oprah did a special a few weeks ago, which I thought was interesting. She had a couple of the representatives from the drug companies talking about it, and which I think is, I want to hear from people who don't work from the drug companies.
Right.
It was a little bit of a conflict of interest.
Well, and she's on the drug too.
She's on it. And so be careful where you get your information. And I think there are other ways to heal your brain and to overcome food addiction. And I know I mentioned Bright Line Eating, and Susan Pierce Thompson is doing actually some videos right now on these drugs also, and how you can heal the brain by eliminating addictive foods. And so she provides a lot of information. And that just sounds like a more natural, cheaper, and probably just as effective way to get a healthy body.
Yes.
Well, and it's interesting that you mentioned cheaper, because in one of our previous episodes, I can't remember if it was Susan or Lauren that mentioned this, but if you took the amount of money that you were spending on these drugs, like you said, you were spending $600 a month,
It
and
was
you put
3 months. Mm-hmm.
Oh, sorry, 200 a month, but many people are spending close to 1,000. But even let's say it was the 200 a month, what could you do with that money to put towards your health and wellness goals? Maybe you're hiring someone to cook you healthy food, or maybe it's a gym membership, or whatever it is. Like, how could you use that money in a different way?
Yeah, it's so true. And a lot of people say eating healthy is expensive. And I don't know, you could argue that, but what great fruits and vegetables and, food you could buy for $200 a month, that
Absolutely.
it could go for great things. So.
And if anyone's interested in learning more about what Mandy is talking about, this Bright Line Eating program, we have interviewed Susan Pierce Thompson twice, actually, once a few months back, and then once as part of our 3-part series on this topic. So you guys can check that out, and we'll link it up in the show notes.
And I guess I should add it also, I talk about, I've been trying to do Bright Line Eating for 4 years, and I've struggled. And that's why I went to the drugs, because I thought maybe this could help me. And so just, it's still a struggle for me. I don't want somebody to think that it's, oh, I've just done this and that's been the answer. I'm still trying, but I'm not giving up. And so I know that that's, that there is a way to do it, and I'll just keep trying and be successful.
And it's important to enjoy your life too, right? Like it's all about balance.
Yes.
So I think you've already answered this, but would you ever consider going back on these drugs?
I have to tell you, when I ran into my friend last week and I saw, oh my goodness. I mean, she went from 170 to 125 from the time.
Wow.
I haven't seen her.
Can I ask in how long? What
and I'm trying to think how long it's, less than a year. I want to say 6 months.
A lot of weight.
I was tempted. I was really tempted, but I knew I was doing this podcast.
Oh,
Don't let us stop
well,
you.
you do you, but yeah.
I remembered why I got off of it. And really, is it worth it to me to be thin? I mean, I've always been bigger boned. I think I weighed 125 when I was 13. I mean, it's just I've always been bigger boned and a bigger structure. Me weighing 125 as a 51-year-old woman, I don't know if that's feasible, but it was like, oh, even if I could get down to 140 or just that part of me just it did kind of think maybe I should call my doctor, but no, I won't do them again. I still think there's not enough information that we know about them, especially for people who only need to lose 20 or 30 pounds. I won't. But again, no judgment to those who decide it is right for them. It has helped so many people. I'm not here to say, I'm just offering a different perspective.
Right. And that's what we're offering as well.
Exactly. And I think what you've said too is you don't want to be on it for life.
No.
So
yeah,
you're making some more sustainable changes, and you have been over the last several years.
And it would be interesting for you to follow up with your friend in a year and in 2 years and see where she's at and how she's feeling. And, it's something you guys can talk through together because you both have your different experiences.
Yes. So I will do that.
And as we start to wrap up this conversation, is there any other advice or resources that you have found helpful that you haven't already shared through this process? Or support groups or...
No, I really, I'll just give another plug for Bright Line Eating. That program is, and I have done, oh my goodness, I used to work for Weight Watchers. I have done so many programs and I have so many books on my bookshelf, and I've probably tried 50 different ways to lose weight and to be healthy, or, I'm probably no different than a lot of people who, try, but I have to say Bright Line Eating is the only program that I have seen that actually provides the support for you, not only while you're trying to lose the weight and adopt a healthy lifestyle, but after, and how to maintain that. And it really is. And I'm still very actively involved in that program, and it has provided more support and information than any program I have ever tried.
Well, that's quite a nice plug.
Yes.
And I'm not on here. I mean, I'm not,
No,
you're not being paid by Bright Line Eating, but
but it really is an amazing support group. I have a group of ladies I meet with weekly. It's called a mastermind group. We're from all over, Canada and Wisconsin and Texas, and I'm in Idaho. And we meet on Zoom every week and just support each other. And I have a buddy. It's really a group that's set up to help you be successful. This program has been great. So I didn't intend to come on here and but that's been my experience, that there is support available, and another way if you're wanting to try to heal your brain and get rid of the food chatter.
I think you bring up a good point. I think a lot of what this comes back to is having a support system when you're trying to make any type of lifestyle changes, having people in your life, whether they're physically in your home or, halfway around the country, and also just community and having someone to talk to and share what you're going through. And with food addiction or any addiction, right? It's really talking through those thoughts in your head and the chatter and getting them out there. And so that is just wonderful. That's serving you well for your overall health and well-being, in addition to hopefully helping you with your goals. Yes. But just mentally.
Yes.
Not feeling alone in the world, right? Having a group to bounce things off.
Right. Because, not eating processed foods and sugar and flour is different, very different than most people are eating, the way.
Right.
So it's hard.
Yeah.
To avoid these things.
To be able to each week, okay, how do I navigate this challenge, or what can I do here? I'm struggling at this time of day, or, it's really been a great system. So
Well, that's awesome. Thank you so
Yeah.
much for sharing that. And Mandy, as we wrap up this conversation, one thing we love to ask all of our guests is, what does the art of living well mean to you?
Oh, for me, the art of living well is doing things that bring peace, and um that's something I obviously need in my life if I want to go drive up to the mountains alone for a day, and if I had any choice. So I think it's just being in tune with what you need to have peace and happiness.
Beautiful. Well, we wish you all the peace and happiness.
Thank
I hope you
And
get
thank
up to
you.
the mountains.
Yes.
Sounds
I think I
lovely.
will. Yes. All right. Well, thank you so
Time of
much
year.
for letting me share my experiences, and
Yeah.
Yes, thank you, and have a great day.
Bye, Mandy.
bye. We'll see you.